All right, let's get right to it. We've been talking too much today, so we don't have a lot of time left. Our draft of the new head coaches with the most to prove. There are 10 new head coaches as we enter the 2022 season. Chris, who's your first pick off that list?
I'm going to go Josh McDaniels to start it off. I mean, we know he's the man offensively and one of the best offensive coordinators we've ever seen in the league. But do we know he can be a head coach? And, again, there's a lot of doubters out there, and a lot of that is, some of the things you explained, the way it unfolded with the Indianapolis Colts, the way it went down the first time when he was a head coach with the Denver Broncos. So to me, he's just got a lot of proof in the fact that he deserves this. And he's worthy of this, and he can be really good at it. And so I think there's, a lot of questions about him in that way as far as can he lead the whole football team.
My first pick is Todd Bowles, the guy who was the last to get the job, because everything's set up for him.
Exactly.
Hand-picked successor to Bruce Arians. We've talked about how with Bruce Arians, he never really was the guy we talked about on a Monday that made some stupid mistake that blew his team's chance to win. He was always between the buoys and very consistent, like a long snapper. You only mention a long snapper when the ball goes over the punter's head. He was never that coach that put the ball over the punter's head. And now Todd Bowles steps into that job with that backstory that we're all, well, not all aware of, and there are plenty of people who don't want to be aware of it, but the Brady retirement, and then Brady comes back, and then Arians is gone 17 days later, and folks like us know that there was a little, Tom will come back if we make a change here, and even though he didn't come out and say it directly, it kind of fell together that way. There's a lot of pressure on Bowles to deliver the kind of year that the Buccaneers expect, and they think they can just pop out Arians and put in Bowles, and off they go.
That would have been that's who I debated with the first pick, because you're right. There's expectations there. And then he never led the Jets to the playoffs. And, I know he had a year that we were 10-6, and they were very close and did some good things there. But, yeah, you're being handed a team that, without question, is one of the most talented teams in football. And we want to see, can you improve it? Are you going to fall down? So I'm with you there. All right, my next one, I'm going to go with I guess I like the mix over here. I'm going to go Mike McDaniel. I am. I think there's a lot to prove there. One, he's questioned about, can this type of person really, lead a football team. He's a little quirky, and he's really smart and cerebral and all of that. So he's not your typical, macho head football coach. So there's that as far as proving that. And then, of course, he's been under the shadow of Kyle Shanahan. We know he helped out. Kyle Shanahan loves him and all of that, but he didn't have to call plays. That's Shanahan. So he's got a lot to prove that, hey, his style can lead a football team, and that he can call plays and come up with game plans that's worthy to get Tua and some of these weapons, balling out and having big days.
And you've got the same dynamic with him
the team.
You have with Tua.
You're exactly.
You got
he
was the second choice.
You're right.
I mean, they wanted Sean Payton. He was ready to go, and we'll go get Mike McDaniel instead.
Yeah.
Barry Jackson, the Miami Herald, raised the possibility. Now, this was before everything hit the fan this week about maybe Peyton and Brady next year, too. So the questions aren't going to go away until McDaniel proves himself in Miami. I agree with you on that one. That would have been my next one. I'll go Nathaniel Hackett with my second pick just because of the circumstance. Russell Wilson, team looks good.
Right.
And the Broncos fan base is re-energized, and the expectations are there. They've had no expectations for half a decade, and now all of a sudden, here we are with a team that's pretty good. And here's the thing. If it doesn't work for Russell Wilson, are we going to be saying it's because of Russell Wilson? Or it's because of the coaches who are not using Russell Wilson the right way? Let's take a break. We'll do round 3 of our draft, the coaches with the most to prove this year. New coaches, that is, when PFT Live continues right after this. All right, there are the first 2 rounds of the new coaches with the most to prove in 2022. We move on to round 3. Chris, you are on the clock, and it is ticking fast.
All right, tick, tick, tick. I'm going to go with Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, I mean, I guess it's a little bit, we've hit this topic a little bit, but the team's there. It's good. I mean, we know it. We look at them and go, oh, the reason they didn't draft a quarterback is because they think they can make some noise in the NFC. And we've seen that, and they were close last year in the first year without Drew Brees, and, Jameis Winston should be a year better. They have certainly better weapons on offense. We know the defense is real. It's a little bit like, Josh McDaniel in the way where it didn't go great for Dennis Allen in his first run, out in the Oakland Raiders. Now can he, take a team and continue to keep them where they're at or even better as he takes over the reins from Sean Payton?
Sunday night last year, 9-0.
Yeah, I know. That
Shut
was impressive.
The Bucs while he was stepping in for Sean Payton, who was on the COVID reserve list. I'll go Kevin O'Connell just because there's no one else who really stands out, and because he comes to Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, who already is talking about 2,000 yards receiving as the Cooper Kupp in that offense, trying to get more out of Kirk Cousins, and O'Connell's got the relationship from Cousins dating back to their time in Washington. Not a lot of overhaul of the offense. And even though it's not pressure, the expectations aren't high, there's just this, hey, you're the latest hot young assistant.
The offense should be good here.
You're from the Rams, and here we go. And there's plenty. We had a good offense with a defensive head coach who couldn't keep an offensive coordinator. I think there's an expectation the offense is going to be a lot better. We don't know what the defense is going to be, but there's an expectation the offense will be better. Yeah,
I think you're right. You know, you talk about the two receivers. People are going to think about that. You got Dalvin Cook at running back. Kirk Cousins, I think, is, a guy that, fits Kevin O'Connell and what he wants to do on that side of the ball there. So I'm with you there. I think he might have been my next pick either. Out of the guys we had left, I mean, Lovie Smith, Eberflus, Brian Daboll, Doug Peterson. I think I'm with you. I would have gone Kevin O'Connell too.
Yeah, and for the last four, there really isn't any pressure. They're with teams that aren't expected
to be much,
Right. So that's how Coach of the Year never goes to Bill Belichick, because Coach of the Year is determined by the loose expectations that a team has at the season beginning and where they are at the season end. And when you are a Bill Belichick and you're always expected to be up here, you never have that delta of what we thought we were going to get and what we got. And that's what delivers Coach of the Year. And that's why one of these 10 guys has a chance to do it, especially the guys who have no expectations. If they end up getting to the playoffs somehow, then they're Coach of the Year. Just like Matt Nagy was in Chicago a few years ago.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And, and again, I mean, I think, Belichick probably should have got a little more credit for what he did with that team last year and getting them back in the playoffs. Just, 2 years after Tom Brady left with a rookie quarterback. That was pretty special. But, it does seem like it's set up that way. And we'll see. 10 new head coaches. So we got a lot of evaluating to do and see if they can make their mark on their franchises.
And we are out of time. We'll be on NBC tonight, 7 o'clock, and Peacock, by the way, for the pregame show for Raiders-Jaguars. And tomorrow, this knucklehead won't be here.
Yeah.
But I will be with our new carpet that isn't new. See ya.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.